Welcome aboard the Midnight Voyage. Tonight, we set sail not across oceans of water, but across oceans of imagination. For as long as human beings have looked at the stars above and the waves below, we have told stories about them. Stories to explain the unknown, stories to guide sailors, stories to comfort the weary. Before we sail, tell me, where in the world are you joining me from tonight? Share your country in the comments and let's travel together. The sea has always been more than water. It has been mystery. It has been danger and promise. It has been a mirror for our deepest dreams. And the stars have always been more than lights. They have been maps, companions, gods, and guardians. In every culture, across every age, myths rose from sea foam and starlight. Some were warnings, some were comforts, and some were simply wonders told at firesides and whispered on dark decks at sea. These myths are more than entertainment. They are proof that human beings have always needed meaning, even in the vast unknown. Tonight, you will hear 101 myths and legends of the starry seas. Some will be familiar, names like Orion, Poseidon, and Atlantis. Others may be new, stories from the Inuit, the Polynesians, the Celts, and the Norse. Together they form a tapestry, a net of stories cast wide across the world. You do not need to remember them all. You do not need to follow every detail. Let them wash over you like waves. Let them drift across your mind like constellations. This is not a lecture. This is a lullaby of legends designed to guide you into calm, safe waters of sleep. So settle in, close your eyes, feel the gentle rhythm of the sea beneath you, the stars above steady and bright. And let us begin with the myths written in the heavens themselves, the constellations, glowing eternal in the night sky. First, Orion the hunter in Greek myth. Orion was a mighty hunter, so strong he could walk across the sea without sinking. He boasted that no animal alive could defeat him. Angered by his arrogance, the goddess Gaia sent a tiny scorpion to sting him. The hunter fell, and Zeus placed both Orion and the scorpion in the sky. Orion rises in winter, brilliant and proud, but always chased by Scorpio, who rises in summer when Orion sets. Their eternal dance reminds us of pride and consequence. Second myth, the Pleiades. The seven sisters near Orion shines a small cluster of stars, the Pleiades. To the Greeks, there were seven sisters pursued endlessly by Orion. To the Japanese, they are Subaru, a guiding symbol. In Native American stories, they were children who danced too high and became stars. Every culture saw their shimmering light and wove a different story, but all agreed. The Pleiades were companions, never alone in the dark. Third, Cassiopeia. The vain queen Cassiopeia was a queen who boasted she was more beautiful than the sea nymphs. Angered, Poseidon punished her by placing her in the sky on a throne that turns upside down. Even now, her constellation looks like a crooked W circling the pole. Sometimes she sits upright, sometimes she hangs downward, a warning against vanity that sailors memorize to mark northern skies. Fourth, Andromeda and Perseus Cassiopeia's daughter, Andromeda, was chained to a rock as sacrifice to a sea monster. But the hero Perseus, flying with winged sandals, slew the monster and freed her. Their love was immortalized in the stars. Andromeda's chain stretching, Perseus above, the monster Cetus lurking below. It is a tale of danger, rescue, and love painted forever across the sky. Fifth, Argo Navis, the ship of Jason, the great ship Argo, which carried Jason and the Argonauts in search of the Golden Fleece, was once a constellation. Ancient sailors looked up and saw the outline of a ship in the stars. Over time, modern astronomers divided it into smaller groups: Carina, Puppis, Vela, but its myth remains. The first great voyage across the seas, guided by stars themselves. Sixth, Delphinus. The dolphin Delphinus is a tiny constellation, but its story is sweet. Poseidon wanted to marry the sea nymph Amphitrite, but she fled from him. It was a dolphin who persuaded her to return. Grateful, Poseidon placed the dolphin in the sky. For sailors, Delphinus was a lucky sign, a reminder of joy, playfulness, and loyalty. Seventh, Poseidon, lord of the deep in Greek mythology. Poseidon ruled the seas with his mighty trident. He could stir calm waters into storms or strike the ground to create springs. Sailors prayed to him before setting out, offering sacrifices for safe passage. To anger Poseidon meant to risk being tossed into the depths. And yet, he was not only feared. As the brother of Zeus and Hades, Poseidon was part of the cosmic balance. To honor him was to honor the sea itself, wild, dangerous, and necessary. Eighth, Triton, the conch blower Triton, son of Poseidon, carried a great conch shell. With its sound, he could calm or rouse the seas. In art, he is shown with the body of a man and the tail of a fish, a herald of his father's power. Sailors imagined that when the waves suddenly shifted from fury to peace, Triton had blown his shell. His presence was a reminder that even the storms had music, even chaos had a conductor. Ninth, Sedna, mother of the deep Inuit far in the Arctic. The Inuit told of Sedna, a woman who became goddess of the sea. Betrayed and cast into the waves by her father, her fingers froze and broke, becoming the seals and whales of the ocean. From then on, she ruled the deep. Hunters prayed to her for animals, for without her blessing, the sea gave nothing. To Inuit sailors, Sedna was not distant. She was in every seal's eyes, every whale's breath. Her story carried both sorrow and majesty, a reminder that survival depended on respect for the sea's gifts. Tenth myth, Kanaloa, Hawaiian lord of the ocean in Hawaiian tradition. Kanaloa was the ocean itself, partner to the sky god Cain. Where Cain represented life-giving rain and sunlight, Kanaloa was depth, salt, and tide. Together, they symbolized balance. Kanaloa was sometimes depicted as a great squid, vast and mysterious. Hawaiian navigators honored him when venturing far into the Pacific, knowing his currents and creatures guided their way. In Kanaloa, they saw not only danger but companionship, the sea as both pathway and home. 11th, Njord, Norse god of seafaring. In the cold north, the Norse worshipped Njord, god of the sea, fishing, and trade. Sailors prayed to him for favorable winds and bountiful catches. Unlike Odin or Thor, who ruled war and storm, Njord brought prosperity through calm waters. His home was on the coast, where land meets sea, symbolizing the delicate line between safety and adventure. To Vikings, Njord's blessing meant not just survival but success. He was proof that the ocean, if respected, could give as much as it took. 12th, Yemya, mother of the oceans, West Africa. Across the Atlantic, in Yoruba tradition, the goddess Yemya was the mother of all life. She was the ocean that gave birth to humanity, the nurturing and protecting mother of sailors. When enslaved Africans were carried across the sea, they carried Yemya's story with them, blending it into Caribbean and Brazilian traditions. She is often imagined as a radiant woman in blue, rising from the waves, arms open. 13th, the Kraken Norse, off the coast of Norway and Iceland. Sailors whispered of the Kraken, a monster so large its body could be mistaken for an island. When ships anchored near it, believing they had found land, the beast would descend, dragging them down in the whirlpool it created. Likely inspired by giant squids glimpsed in deep waters, the Kraken symbolized the terror of the unknown. For Norse sailors, it was a reminder that the ocean itself could awaken without warning. 14th, Scylla and Charybdis Greek. On either side of a narrow strait lurked two dangers. Scylla, a many-headed monster, snatched sailors from ships. Across from her, Charybdis created whirlpools that swallowed vessels whole. To sail between them was nearly impossible. This myth gave us the phrase, between Scylla and Charybdis, caught between two dangers. For Greek sailors, it was a poetic warning. The sea is full of choices, each with its own risks. 15th, sirens, singers of the deep. Few myths are as haunting as the sirens. With voices sweet as honey, they sang from rocky shores, luring sailors to crash their ships. Odysseus, warned of their power, had his men plug their ears with wax while he himself was tied to the mast, desperate to hear their song but unable to act. The sirens represent temptation, beauty with hidden danger, proof that sometimes the greatest peril comes not from waves, but from longing. 16th, the Leviathan biblical. In ancient Hebrew texts, the Leviathan was a vast sea serpent, a creature of chaos defeated only by God's power. Its coils churned the seas, its breath was fire, its strength unmatched. For generations, it symbolized the untamable force of the ocean, a reminder that no human could truly master it. Later writers turned Leviathan into metaphor of empires, of sin, of 17th myth. Yumabazu Japanese. Japanese sailors feared the Yumabazu, a spirit of the ocean that appeared on calm nights. Rising from the waves like a shadowy giant, its head round and smooth, it demanded respect. If angered, it could smash ships or raise storms. Some believed it was the restless ghost of drowned priests. To appease it, sailors offered prayers. The Yumabazu embodies the quiet unease sailors felt when the ocean was too still, for calm can change to chaos in a moment. 80th, Cetus, the sea monster of Andromeda. When Cassiopeia boasted of her beauty, Poseidon sent Cetus, a sea monster, to punish her. Andromeda was chained to a rock as sacrifice, but Perseus slew Cetus and saved her. In the night sky, Cetus became a constellation, a reminder of both terror and triumph. To sailors, it was a warning written above. The sea holds monsters, but courage can overcome them. 19th, Jörmungandr, the world serpent Norse. The Norse spoke of Jörmungandr, the serpent so vast it encircled the world, biting its own tail. When it stirred, waves rose. When it released its tail, the end of the world would come. Thor himself was destined to battle it during Ragnarök. 20th, mermaids and mermen. Across cultures, stories of mermaids appeared, half human, half fish beings who sang, danced, and sometimes deceived. In some traditions, they blessed sailors, rescuing them from storms. In others, they lured them to watery graves. The duality of mermaids reflects the duality of the ocean itself, beautiful and generous, yet dangerous and unpredictable. 21st, Aspidachelone medieval bestiaries. Medieval sailors told of the Aspidachelone, a whale so vast that sailors mistook it for an island. They would land, light fires, and camp, only to have the beast dive, dragging them into the depths. This legend echoes the Kraken, born from glimpses of giant sea creatures. It speaks to the fear that even when sailors thought they had found solid ground, the sea could still betray them. 22nd, the sea bishop, medieval Europe. In 16th century Europe, sailors told of the sea bishop, a fish-like creature with a bishop's mitre on its head. Captured and presented to a king, it is said to have gestured in blessing before slipping back into the sea. Was it a monkfish mistaken for miracle, or was it proof that the ocean had its own clergy? Either way, it reflects the way humans projected familiar forms, priests, kings, monsters, onto the mysteries of the deep. 23rd, Atlantis Greek. The most famous lost land is Atlantis, first described by Plato. He told of a powerful island empire that grew proud, angered the gods, and sank beneath the waves. Some say it lies beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Others see it as pure allegory. To sailors, Atlantis was a warning against arrogance, but also a tantalizing dream, proof that entire civilizations could be hidden below the sea. Even now, the myth endures, shimmering just out of reach. 24th, Lyoness Celtic British. West of Cornwall, legends tell of Lyoness, a kingdom drowned by the sea in a single night. Only one man escaped, riding a white horse to safety. Some say its church bells can still be heard beneath the waves on stormy nights. For sailors along Britain's coast, Lyoness was both tragedy and comfort, a reminder of how fragile land could be, but also how memory and story keep kingdoms alive. 25th myth, High Brassel Irish. Off the coast of Ireland, mariners spoke of High Brassel, an island shrouded in mist. It was said to appear only once every 7 years, gleaming with riches and wonders before vanishing again. Some explorers even marked it on maps, searching for its shores. The myth of High Brassel reveals the longing sailors felt that just beyond the horizon, a perfect world awaited. It was a dream of reward after hardship, of paradise hidden within the sea. 26th myth, the Isle of the Blessed, Greek. In Greek myth, heroes who lived righteous lives were granted passage to the Isle of the Blessed. There, eternal spring reigned and gentle breezes carried no storms. It was not merely an island, but a vision of peace after struggle, of calm after voyage. To sailors who faced death daily, the Isle of the Blessed was a promise that beyond the risks of the sea, a final safe harbor existed. 27th, Avalon Arthurian legend. The legend of Avalon speaks of an island where King Arthur was carried after his final battle. There, he would heal, waiting to return when Britain needed him most. Shrouded in mists, Avalon symbolized both rest and hope. For sailors, the idea of Avalon gave meaning to foggy mornings at sea, when the world seemed half hidden and otherworldly. The thought that an island of healing lay just beyond sight offered comfort in times of uncertainty. 28th, Thule Greek and Roman accounts. Ancient writers spoke of Thule, a land at the edge of the known world, far to the north where the sun barely set. To Greeks and Romans, Thule was mystery itself, a place where sea met ice and fire. Some believed it was Iceland, others Greenland, or perhaps only a sailor's tale. But to those who dreamed of it, Thule was a symbol of exploration, proof that the horizon was not the end but the beginning of wonder. 29th, the sunken city of Wise, French Breton. In Brittany, Thales told of Wise, a shining city built below sea level, protected by great gates. Its ruler Dahut opened the gates in defiance of the gods, and the sea swallowed the city. Some say its towers can still be seen beneath the waves on clear days. For sailors, wise was a caution. The sea does not forgive arrogance, but also a marvel, a vision of beauty preserved forever beneath the tide. 30th, the Phantom Islands. Medieval maps are dotted with places that never existed. Islands sailors swore they saw, but which vanished on return. Names like St. Brendan's Isle, Frisland, and Antalya filled charts for centuries. These phantom islands remind us that the human mind fills the unknown with stories. Each phantom isle was a dream given form, proof that myth is as much a navigator as the compass. 31st, Lemuria, 19th century. In the 1800s, scientists proposed a lost continent called Lemuria to explain the distribution of species across the Indian Ocean. Though later disproven, the idea captured imaginations. Lemuria became myth, a land of ancient wisdom and vanished people. For modern sailors and seekers, it was proof that the sea still held mysteries, that even in an age of science, lost lands lingered in the mind. 32nd, the albatross. Sailors believed the albatross was the soul of a drowned sailor, guiding ships with its wide, graceful wings. To harm an albatross was to invite disaster. Samuel Taylor Coleridge's poem The Rime of the Ancient Mariner immortalized this belief, where a sailor who killed an albatross was cursed with endless misfortune. For those at sea, the albatross was not just a bird, it was hope itself, soaring above the waves. 33rd, red sky at night, sailors' delight. From ancient times, sailors read the sky like scripture. A red sky at night meant fair weather, while a red sky in the morning warned of storms. This rhyme, still spoken today, carried real meteorological truth. Dust and clouds in the atmosphere painted the sky in ways that revealed weather to come. For sailors, it was not only science, it was comfort, a reminder that even chaos had patterns. 34th, whistling on deck. In many traditions, sailors believed that whistling on a ship could call the wind. A gentle whistle might stir a breeze, but whistling during storms was forbidden, as it might summon gales. To whistle was to play with fate, and yet in calm seas, young sailors often risked a note, testing the sea's mood. Each sound was a prayer, each silence a respect for the ocean's temper. 35th, ghost ships. Legends of ghost ships haunted sailors across centuries. These phantom vessels appeared in mist or storm, glowing faintly, crewed by shadows. The most famous is the Flying Dutchman, doomed to sail forever, never finding port. Sailors who glimpsed it believed disaster was near. Yet ghost ships also fascinated proof that the sea remembered its dead, carrying their stories across endless waters. 36th, Jonah and the Whale. From the Bible came the story of Jonah, swallowed by a great fish for defying God. For sailors, Jonah's tale was a warning. Do not anger the divine, or the sea will take you. The phrase, a Jonah on board, came to mean bad luck, and sometimes unlucky sailors were even cast out to appease the waves. Harsh as it was, the story gave order to misfortune, turning chaos into narrative. 37th, the number of knots. Sailors tied knots not just for rigging but for magic. Knot charms were sold by wise women to calm storms. A rope with 3 knots might hold back the wind. Untie one, and a breeze would rise. Untie all, and a gale would blow. Whether true or not, the ritual gave sailors a sense of power, a way to feel less helpless before the sea. 38th myth, cats on ships, strange as it may seem, Sailors often brought cats aboard, not only to hunt rats but as good luck charms. A cat washing behind its ears foretold rain. A restless cat warned of storms. Black cats, feared on land, were considered especially lucky at sea. To harm a ship's cat was unthinkable. Better to face Poseidon himself than risk such bad luck. 39th, dolphins as protectors. Dolphins, playful and curious, often swam alongside ships. Sailors believed they were guardians, guiding vessels to safety. To see dolphins before a storm was a sign of hope. To see none in long stretches of sea was unsettling. Their joy in the waves reminded sailors that not all spirits of the ocean were hostile. Some were companions, dancing on the journey. 40T myth, the bell that tolls at sea. Many ships carried bells to mark time, but some believed the ghostly tolling of a bell at sea foretold death. Stories spread of bells heard in storms, unseen yet ringing through the wind. For sailors, the sound was chilling, yet it gave meaning to the randomness of tragedy. Even death at sea became part of a larger order, a bell rung, a soul guided onward. 41st, the lucky tattoo. Sailors covered themselves in tattoos, many of which carried superstitions. A swallow tattoo promised safe return, as swallows were birds of land. An anchor tattoo symbolized stability in storms. Even dice or playing cards carried meanings of luck. On rough voyages, sailors would touch these tattoos as charms, believing ink itself could hold power against the sea. 42nd, bananas on board. Oddly enough, sailors in some traditions believed bringing bananas on board brought bad luck. Perhaps because fruit spoiled quickly and carried pests, or perhaps because banana-laden ships were often lost in storms. Regardless of origin, the superstition spread. Even today, some fishermen refuse to take bananas on boats, proof that old myths still ripple through modern waters. 43rd myth, Odysseus and his long journey home, Greek. The tale of Odysseus, king of Ithaca, is perhaps the most famous voyage of all. After the Trojan War, he wandered the seas for 10 long years. He faced the wrath of Poseidon, the song of the sirens, the whirlpools of Charybdis, and the monster Scylla. Each trial was both a danger and a lesson. Odysseus' journey became a symbol of endurance, of the human will to return home no matter the distance. For sailors, his story was proof that perseverance, more than strength, was the true compass. 44th, Jason and the Argonauts, Greek. In another Greek tale, Jason built a ship called the Argo and gathered heroes, the Argonauts, to seek the Golden Fleece. Their voyage took them through treacherous seas, past clashing rocks that crushed ships, and into the unknown. Guided by the goddess Hera and the wisdom of Medea, Jason succeeded. The Argo itself became a constellation, shining as eternal memory of the voyage. To sailors, Jason's journey was an inspiration that unity and courage could outlast even the sea's fury. 45th, Sinbad the Sailor, Arabian Nights. In the Tales of the Arabian Nights, Sinbad the Sailor set out on 7 voyages, each filled with peril and wonder. He met giant birds called rocks, battled sea monsters, and found islands that were living whales. Though often ruined, he always rose again, richer in experience. Sinbad's stories, though fantastical, reflected the dangers real sailors faced in the Indian Ocean: storms, strange lands, and the lure of fortune. His resilience made him beloved, a hero who turned hardship into legend. 46th, Brendan the Navigator, Irish. In Irish legend, Saint Brendan the Navigator set out in a small boat with fellow monks, seeking the Isle of the Blessed. He sailed westward, encountering islands of fire and crystal, sea monsters, and endless horizons. Some believe his voyage inspired later tales of Atlantis, or even hinted at journeys to America. For Irish sailors, Brendan's story was both a spiritual pilgrimage and a maritime adventure, proof that faith could carry one across any sea. 47th, Theseus and the Minotaur's Voyage, Greek. Before facing the Minotaur, Theseus sailed to Crete, where Athenian youths were sent as tribute. With courage and the help of Ariadne's thread, he slew the monster and escaped the labyrinth. His voyage was more than physical. It was a journey into darkness, where wit and bravery overcame terror. To sailors, the tale of Theseus was a reminder that ships did not only carry bodies, but destinies. 48th, Gilgamesh's journey across the waters, Mesopotamian. In the 49th, Huishen, the Buddhist monk, Chinese. A lesser-known tale speaks of Huishen, a Buddhist monk said to have sailed east from China in the 5th century. He told of a land called Fusang, across the ocean, rich in trees and people. Some believe he described parts of the Americas. Whether true or not, Huishen's voyage was a symbol of knowledge carried by waves, of how the sea could connect distant worlds through courage and belief. 50th, Leif Erikson and Vinland, Norse. In Norse sagas, Leif Erikson, son of Eric the Red, sailed west from Greenland and discovered Vinland, believed by many to be North America. He found forests, grapes, and fertile lands. Though the Norse settlements did not last, Leif's voyage proved that daring sailors could cross even the wild Atlantic. To Vikings, it was not only a tale of exploration, but of destiny, proof that the world was larger than they imagined. 51st, the voyage of Maelduin, Irish. Irish lore tells of Maelduin, who sailed with companions across seas filled with wonders. They found islands of fire, of laughing birds, of floating crystals, of phantom horsemen. Each island was a test of patience and spirit. His voyage, like Brendan's, reflected the deep Irish tradition of Imrama, journey tales, where the sea was a path of transformation. To listeners, Maelduin's adventures were both entertaining and mystical, weaving faith with fantasy. 52nd, the Milky Way as the path of souls, many cultures. For sailors across the world, the Milky Way was not just stars, but a road. The Greeks called it milk spilled from Hera's breast. In some Native American traditions, it was the path of departed spirits. To Pacific Islanders, it was a guiding stripe across the night. For sailors adrift, the Milky Way was both compass and comfort, proof that even in darkness, the heavens offered a map. 53rd, Polaris, the North Star. The North Star has been the most faithful of guides. To Greeks, it was part of Ursa Minor, a bear forever circling the sky. To sailors of every sea, it was the point that never moved, a fixed anchor above the shifting waves. Legends called it a celestial nail holding up the heavens, or a divine torch leading wanderers home. Even now, Polaris shines as the star of return, a myth made real by its steady light. 54th myth, the belt of Orion as a heavenly ladder. In Africa, some tribes told that Orion's belt was a ladder reaching into the sky. Spirits climbed it to move between worlds. For sailors beneath those three bright stars, the thought was both mystical and practical. The belt pointed the way across seas, a reminder that navigation itself was a form of magic, binding heaven and earth together. 55th, Venus, the morning and evening star. The planet Venus, glowing bright, became myth everywhere. To the Maya, it was a warrior god. To Greeks, it was Aphrodite, goddess of love. To sailors, Venus was the star that rose just before dawn or lingered after sunset, a faithful companion at the edge of night. Its brilliance made it seem alive, a goddess walking the horizon. marking both beginnings and endings of voyages. 56th, the Maori canoe in the sky. The Maori of New Zealand looked up at the constellation we call Scorpius and saw a giant canoe, Te Waka o Tamareti. In its prow blazed Antares, the red star, while its stern held other bright lights. This canoe sailed the heavens, guiding real canoes across the Pacific. For Polynesian sailors, the stars were more than myths. They were a literal map, woven into song and story, teaching generations to cross vast oceans. 57th, the Greek myth of Phaethon. In one tale, Phaethon, son of the sun god Helios, tried to drive his father's chariot across the sky. He lost control, scorching earth and nearly drowning it, until Zeus struck him down. His fall explained meteors and comets, fiery streaks across the night. To sailors, such lights were omens, either warning or wonder, reminding them that even in heaven, hubris was punished. 58th, St. Elmo's fire. Medieval sailors sometimes saw a strange glow at the tips of their masts during storms, a blue flame dancing in the wind. They called it St. Elmo's fire, a sign of protection from their patron saint. Some saw it as souls of the departed, others as angels guarding them. Though we now know it is electricity, to those at sea it was a blessing written in light. 59th, the 7 stars of the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper was more than a shape. To Greeks, it was part of a bear forever chased. To African slaves in America, it was the drinking gourd, guiding them north to freedom. To sailors, it was a nightly friend circling Polaris. Its myths show how the same stars gave meaning to many, proof that the sky is a book read differently by every culture, yet always trusted on the sea. 60th, the Selkies Celtic. In the cold seas of Scotland and Ireland, tales were told of Selkies, seals who could shed their skins and walk as humans. Often they became lovers or wives of fishermen, only to vanish when they found their hidden skins. Selkies symbolized longing and loss, the way the sea gives love but always takes it back. For sailors, they were reminders that the ocean was full of beauty never meant to be kept. 71st, 61st, the Nereids. Greek, the Greeks told of Nereids, 50 sea nymphs who danced on the waves. Sometimes they rescued sailors, sometimes they vanished like foam. Their beauty was said to calm storms, their laughter to echo across bays. To sailors, the Nereids represented the sea's softer face, playful, mysterious, yet always beyond reach. 62nd, the sea people of Polynesia in Polynesian lore. There were stories of sea people who lived beneath the waves, emerging only at night. They had the bodies of humans, but the spirits of the ocean. Some say they guided canoes, others that they tested sailors' respect for the sea. Their dual nature, human and oceanic, showed how Polynesians saw the sea not as separate from themselves, but as family. 63rd, the Kelpies. Scottish in Scottish rivers and coastal waters lurked the Kelpies, shape-shifting horses that lured people to ride them. Once mounted, victims were dragged beneath the water. Though terrifying, Kelpies also reflected the beauty of water, glistening, powerful, and unpredictable. For sailors, they warned of hidden dangers, the way calm surfaces could conceal deadly depths. 64th, Proteus, the old man of the sea. Greek. Proteus was a minor sea god who could change his shape at will, a lion, a serpent, water itself. To capture his wisdom, one had to hold him through all his transformations until he yielded the truth. Proteus embodied the sea's shifting nature. To master it was impossible, but to endure its changes was to gain knowledge. For sailors, the myth was a lesson in patience and persistence. 65th, the Swan Maidens, Norse and Celtic. Across northern Europe, sailors told of swan maidens, women who shed feathered cloaks to bathe in the sea. If a man stole the cloak, she became his wife, but her longing for freedom always drew her back to the water. Like Selkies, swan maidens carried the bittersweet truth. The sea could be loved, but never possessed. 66th, Charybdis transformation. Greek, though remembered as a whirlpool monster, Charybdis was once a daughter of Poseidon. She drank so much seawater to expand her father's domain that Zeus cursed her, transforming her into a beast. This story reflects how quickly fortune can turn. Even divine children could become monsters. For sailors, it was another reminder. The sea itself could shift without warning, calm one moment, catastrophic the next. 67th sea dragons of the East, Chinese and Japanese. In Eastern traditions, sea dragons were not always monsters, but divine guardians. Chinese sailors believed dragon kings ruled undersea palaces, controlling tides and rains. Japanese myths told of dragon deities who appeared as men to test human courage. Unlike Western serpents of chaos, Eastern dragons were powers of balance, their transformations reflecting the harmony of nature. To sailors, they were beings to be respected, honored with offerings before voyages. 68th, the roan, Irish, a variation of the selkie. The roan was said to be a seal that could take human form, but only on certain nights. Fishermen who spied them were often entranced. In some tales, roans returned each year to dance on moonlit shores. For sailors, they were omens of both fortune and heartbreak, appearing at the boundary of sea and land, reminding them that their own lives balanced on shifting tides. 69th, the Kanaloa octopus, Hawaiian, linked to the god Kanaloa. Hawaiian legends tell of a great octopus, the last survivor of an earlier world. It shifted shape, hiding in coral or emerging to grasp ships. Some said it could vanish entirely, blending into sea and shadow. The octopus symbolized adaptability, the ability to survive by becoming many things. For sailors, it was both fearsome and fascinating, a teacher of survival in a changing sea. 70th, the half-fish kings of Babylon, Ons, in Mesopotamian myth. A being named Ons rose from the sea each day, half man, half fish. He taught humans writing, art, and law before returning to the waters at night. Ons and his kind were symbols of transformation not as punishment, but as wisdom. For sailors, such myths suggested that the sea itself was a teacher, disguising knowledge in strange, shifting forms. 71st, Charon and the River Styx, Greek. In Greek myth, the dead crossed the river Styx, ferried by Charon, the silent boatman. He accepted only coins placed on the tongue of the departed. Without payment, souls wandered the shores forever. For sailors, the tale was hauntingly familiar, another journey by water, one that could not be refused. To imagine death as a voyage gave order to the unknown, transforming fear into passage. 72nd, the Viking ship burial, Norse. The Norse believed great warriors were placed in ships set aflame, drifting into the sea or the sky. Some were buried with vessels, so they might sail into Valhalla. The ship was more than transport, it was the soul's chariot. For Viking sailors, this tradition affirmed that even in death, the sea carried them onward to halls of feasting, to eternal voyages. 73rd, the Egyptian solar boat. The Egyptians told of Ra, the sun god, sailing his solar boat across the sky by day and through the underworld by night. Each night he fought darkness, rising again at dawn. Pharaohs were buried with boats so they might join him. To Egyptians, death was not an ending, but a continuation of sailing, proof that water connected all realms. 74th myth, the Celtic voyage to the otherworld. Celtic sailors believed the otherworld lay across the Western Sea. Departed souls sailed into the sunset, where islands of eternal youth and joy awaited. Tales of the Imram journeys, like Brendan's, blurred life and afterlife. For Celtic seafarers, every voyage hinted at eternity. The horizon was not only distance, it was destiny. 75th, the Japanese Sanzu River. In Japanese belief, souls crossed the Sanzu River on their way to the afterlife. The crossing depended on their deeds, a bridge for the virtuous, deep waters for the sinful. Sailors who knew the peril of crossing stormy rivers would have understood this myth deeply. Death, like the sea, demanded courage and respect. 76th, The Polynesian canoe of souls.
Oh.
In some Polynesian traditions, the dead traveled in canoes of spirits, paddling westward across the ocean to join their ancestors. For real sailors, this mirrored their own voyages. Every canoe on water was both a vessel of the living and a shadow of those that carried the dead. The myth comforted them. They were never truly alone on the sea. 77th, the Mayan canoe of Xibalba. In Mayan myth, souls traveled by canoe through dangerous waters to reach Xibalba, the underworld. Gods of death awaited them with trials, just as storms awaited sailors. Yet the journey was necessary. The canoe symbolized both fragility and hope, that even across dangerous seas, passage was possible. 78th, the Inuit Spirit Voyage.
Oh.
The Inuit believed shamans could guide souls across icy seas to the land of the dead. Spirits traveled alongside animals, seals, and whales, companions in both life and death. For Arctic sailors, who lived always at the edge of survival, the idea of such guidance was comforting. The ocean, though deadly, was also a bridge. 79th, the Aztec sun's journey. For the Aztecs, the sun itself journeyed across the waters of the underworld each night, battling to rise again. Sailors at dawn would have seen in this myth a reflection of their own struggles, surviving night storms, longing for the sun's return. The daily rising was proof that journeys ended, and that even the darkest sea gave way to light. 80th, modern echoes, ashes at sea. Even today, families scatter ashes into the sea, believing the water carries souls gently onward. Though less mythical, the act carries the same truth as ancient stories. The ocean is both beginning and ending, a path that connects the living with what lies beyond. 81st, the Aurora Borealis Norse. To sailors of the far north, the Aurora Borealis was no ordinary light. Green and violet curtains rippled across the sky, dancing silently above the frozen sea. The Norse believed it was the gleam of Valkyrie's armor, flashing as they rode through the heavens to guide fallen warriors to Valhalla. Others whispered that the lights were reflections of great fires burning at the edges of the world, or spirits waving across the sky to those still living. For sailors braving icy waters, the aurora was both blessing and omen. Its shimmering glow promised that they were not alone, that higher powers moved in rhythm with their voyage. Even today, standing beneath the northern lights feels like standing in myth itself, the sky alive, the sea listening, and the traveler caught between worlds. 82nd, the Rainbow Serpent, Aboriginal Australia. In the Dreamtime stories of Aboriginal Australia, the rainbow serpent is one of the oldest beings, shaping rivers, mountains, and seas. It slithered across the land, carving channels where waters flowed, creating life wherever it passed. Its scales glittered with every color of the rainbow, and when storms cleared, its body could be seen arched across the sky. For coastal peoples, the rainbow serpent was not only a creator, but a guardian of water itself. Rain, tides, floods, all were its breath and movement. To sailors, rainbows shimmering over waves were signs of its presence, a reminder that the ocean was alive, ancient, and powerful. In every ripple, they felt the serpent's body, coiled beneath them, keeping balance in the world. The rainbow serpent promised that life, though unpredictable, always renewed itself. 83rd, Thunder and the Sea, Norse. When storms rolled across the ocean, sailors of the north believed they were hearing the might of Thor's hammer, striking against giants in the deep. Each thunderclap was Mjolnir smashing foes, each flash of lightning a spark from the battle above. While fearsome, this myth gave storms meaning. They were not chaos, but signs of divine struggle, proof that the gods themselves fought to keep balance in the world. For sailors caught in waves, And rain, it was easier to endure when thunder became Thor's voice. And when lightning struck the sea, some said it split open for a moment, giving glimpse of hidden realms below. The storm was terrifying, but also holy, a reminder that no voyage was alone. The gods traveled with them, their power echoing across sky and water. 84th myth, Maui and the sun Polynesia. Among Polynesian sailors, the demigod Maui was a trickster and hero. One of his greatest feats was slowing the sun itself. In ancient times, the sun raced too quickly across the sky, leaving little daylight for fishing and voyaging. Maui, clever and bold, wove ropes and set a trap atop the mountains. When the sun rose, he caught it and demanded it move more slowly, giving humans time to work and travel. The sun, scorched and humbled, agreed. From then on, the days were long enough for journeys across vast oceans. For sailors, this myth explained the balance of time itself. Each sunrise was not just the start of a day, but proof of Maui's victory. His story was told on canoes drifting beneath blazing skies, comfort that even the heavens could be persuaded to favor humankind. 85th sea foam and the birth of Aphrodite, Greek. The Greeks told that the goddess Aphrodite was born from the foam of the sea. When the Titan Cronus cast the severed sky into the ocean, its drops of blood and power mingled with waves. From this strange marriage of violence and water, beauty emerged. Aphrodite rose upon a shell, radiant and serene, carried ashore by gentle breezes. Every sparkle of foam upon the surf was said to be her laughter, her presence lingering in each tide. For sailors, Aphrodite's myth softened the sea's harshness. Storms might rage, but within the same waters lived the goddess of love, reminding them that beauty often arises from chaos. When waves gleamed silver in moonlight, they imagined the goddess herself drifting nearby, born anew in every tide, proof that the sea, for all its danger, also birthed wonder. 86th myth, the Aurora Australis, indigenous Australia. While the northern lights filled Arctic skies, southern sailors sometimes glimpsed the Aurora Australis, a mirror of fire in the far Antarctic night. To indigenous Australians, these glowing veils were the campfires of ancestral spirits, signaling across the heavens to their descendants. For sailors who ventured southward, the light seemed even more mysterious than their northern counterpart. Rarer, more elusive, flickering across lonely seas. Some believed they were warnings, others blessings, but all agreed they were alive. To stand beneath their glow was to stand in two worlds at once, the earthly and the spiritual, the living and the departed. For those who drifted far from home, the Aurora Australis was a reminder that connection endured. Even in the most desolate seas, spirits still lit their fires, guiding and watching from the sky. 87th, rainbows as bridges many cultures. Rainbows arcing over waves carried meaning in cultures across the world. To the Norse, the brilliant bridge Bifrost linked Midgard to Asgard, the realm of the gods. To the Greeks, a rainbow was the path of Iris, messenger of the heavens, carrying words from Olympus to earth. To many sailors, a rainbow was a literal bridge across storms, proof that tempests ended and safe skies returned. When rain cleared and sunlight struck the sea, the colors stretched like a promise. Some believed stepping onto a rainbow in dreams could carry one to paradise, an island beyond reach. For sailors drenched and weary, seeing a rainbow after a storm was more than beauty, it was assurance. The gods had not abandoned them. A bridge remained, uniting heaven, sea, and the fragile vessel drifting below. 88th, Mama Wata, West Africa. In West African traditions, Mama Wata was the great water spirit, half woman and half serpent, shimmering with jewels. She was beautiful, enchanting, and unpredictable. To honor her was to receive wealth, love, or protection. To disrespect her was to invite disaster, storms, capsized boats, or drowning. Sailors carried offerings, small trinkets, or whispered prayers, casting them into waves in her name. Mama Wata was not evil nor purely kind. She reflected the ocean itself, abundant yet dangerous, alluring yet merciless. For Africans carried across the seas by trade and migration, her myth traveled too, finding new forms in the Caribbean and the Americas. To this day, songs and rituals honor her. For sailors, she remained a constant reminder. Every voyage is a relationship with the sea, and every relationship demands respect. 89th, the Lusca Caribbean. In Caribbean lore, divers and sailors feared the Lusca, a monstrous creature said to dwell in the deep blue holes of the Bahamas. Half shark, half octopus, it dragged the unwary into darkness. Some claimed to see its massive tentacles rise. Others swore entire boats were sucked below. Scientists suggest these tailies may have arisen from sudden whirlpools or glimpses of giant squid, but to sailors, the Lusca was real. A guardian of the underworld, keeping secrets hidden. Its myth spread from island to island, whispered in harbors where fishermen spoke of strange currents and vanishing divers. Whether beast or spirit, the Lusca explained the ocean's sudden violence. And like many monsters of the sea, it was also a story of caution. Respect the depths, or they will remind you of their power. 90th, Majandara, Philippines. In the Viscan Islands of the Philippines, sailors told of the Majandara, mermaid-like beings who swam through coastal waters. Unlike the sirens of Greece, Majandara were said to sing not to lure but to calm. Their voices soothed storms, their presence promised peace. Fishermen believed that by offering prayers or songs in return, they could secure the Majandara's blessing for abundant catches and safe voyages. Some tailies painted them as fickle, punishing those who polluted the waters, but more often they were guardians. To see one gliding in moonlit surf was to know the sea was in balance. For weary sailors, Majandara were symbols of hope, a reminder that the ocean, though vast and powerful, also contained compassion, embodied in beings who carried the sea's beauty in human form. 91st, Namo, Mali, Dogon people. Among the Dogon people of Mali, the Namo were ancestral beings who came from the water and sometimes from the stars. Amphibious, half human, half fish, they were teachers who gave humans speech, order, and balance. For the Dogon, water and sky were not separate. They were united through the Namo, who moved between realms. Some traditions even described them as arriving in fiery vessels from the heavens, linking the stars with the sea. To sailors, stories of Namo were reminders that knowledge itself was a gift of the waters. Every rule of navigation, every ritual of respect could be traced back to spirits like them. In their dual nature, the Namo embodied the truth sailors knew well. That survival comes from harmony, from listening to what both the sea and the sky teach. 92nd, La Siren, Haiti. In Haitian Vodou, La Siren is the queen of the ocean, a mermaid goddess who rules over wealth, music, and mystery. She is said to live in a glittering undersea palace, attended by spirits, her songs drifting up through the waves. Sailors feared and adored her. To hear her music was to be enchanted, to feel the pull of the deep. But those who honored her with offerings, mirrors, perfumes, or melodies, found favor in return. La Siren symbolized the dual nature of the sea, beautiful, intoxicating, but always demanding respect. For sailors of Haiti and beyond, she was more than myth. She was presence. The sea was hers, and every voyage began and ended in her domain. Whispering her name in prayer was to ask the waves themselves for mercy. 93rd, Tikar water spirits, Cameroon. The Tikar people of Cameroon spoke of water spirits who dwelled in rivers, lakes, and coastal seas. These spirits often took human form, emerging at twilight to walk the land before vanishing again into the depths. They were associated with fertility, abundance, and protection, but they could also bring illness or drought if disrespected. For sailors, encountering them in dreams or visions meant the sea itself was speaking. Offerings of food or song could win their blessing. These spirits connected daily survival with cosmic balance. Fish in the nets, rains on the crops, safe journeys across rivers all depended on their favor. To those who lived and sailed along Africa's waterways, the spirits were companions, unseen but always near, shaping the tide of both life and voyage. 94 TTH, the sea panther Iroquois. Among the Iroquois, tales told of the water panther, a mighty creature dwelling in lakes and rivers. With scales, horns, and fiery eyes, it combined the strength of predator and the mystery of the deep. Unlike monsters meant only to terrify, the water panther was also guardian, bringing balance to waters, punishing disrespect, rewarding courage. To sailors and canoe travelers, its myth explained whirlpools, sudden storms, and the sense that lakes were alive. Some believed shamans could communicate with it, asking for protection before journeys. Its dual nature reflected the truth of water itself. Dangerous, yes, but also sacred. To fear the water panther was to respect the boundary between human and nature, a boundary crossed only with humility. Its roar, they said, was thunder rolling low across the surface of the waves. 95th, the moon and tides many cultures. Across cultures, the moon was a goddess whose power pulled the sea. Greeks saw her as Selene, her pale face reflected in waves. The Japanese honored Tsukuyomi, while others saw the moon as a silver boat sailing nightly across the heavens. For sailors, the connection was undeniable. The moon swelled and calmed tides, guiding when they could set sail, when they must wait. Myths explained this pull as the moon's embrace, drawing the waters toward her, then releasing them. To sleep under a full moon at sea was to feel its magic directly, as if a great hand stirred the ocean's bowl. In its glow, sailors found comfort, no matter how vast the sea. A companion always watched, steady above the mast, shaping tides with patience, luminous and eternal. 96th, Children in the Stars, Native American. Among Native American traditions, stories told of children who danced so joyfully that they rose into the sky, becoming the Pleiades or other clusters. Their laughter became twinkles, their presence eternal. For sailors, this tale carried special weight. To see children among the stars meant the heavens were never empty. Lost loved ones, even the young, lived on above, guiding voyages with gentle light. The myth softened grief, transforming loss into presence. When ships sailed under starlit skies, the thought that stars were playful children gave warmth. The sea may have claimed lives, but the sky returned them, glowing softly forever. In the endless night of the ocean, these stories gave sailors a sense of family, that somewhere above, the voices of the innocent still shone, never lost to darkness. 97th, the dolphin as messenger Greek. For the Greeks, dolphins were sacred animals, messengers between gods and men. Apollo was said to have taken dolphin form, guiding sailors. Tales told of dolphins rescuing shipwrecked men, carrying them safely to shore. To kill one was a grave sin. Their leaping forms around a ship were seen as signs of protection. Laughter made flesh and water. For sailors, dolphins were proof that the sea could be kind. That companionship was not limited to humans. Watching them play among the waves was reassurance. The gods had not abandoned them. Even today, sailors feel joy when dolphins appear alongside ships. Their presence is a story in motion, the ocean itself smiling. In myth and in life, Dolphins are guardians, carrying messages across worlds, their sleek bodies moving like living prayers of safety. 98th, the guardian whale Inuit. For the Inuit, whales were more than animals, they were guardians of balance. Each was a spirit, carrying wisdom as deep as the ocean itself. To hunt them required ritual, respect, and gratitude. To kill without ceremony invited famine or storms. Some tales spoke of whales guiding lost hunters, surfacing beside kayaks like silent protectors. Others told of whales carrying souls across icy seas, companions in death as in life. Their sheer size and grace made them both awe-inspiring and humbling. For sailors, seeing a whale breach was a reminder of the ocean's grandeur and of their own smallness upon it. Myths made them guardians, powerful yet benevolent if honored properly. In each dark eye was said to be the reflection of ancestors, watching over voyages, ensuring the sea remained in balance. 99th, lanternfish as souls Pacific lore. In Pacific traditions, glowing fish deep beneath the waves were believed to be souls of ancestors, lighting the ocean floor. Their faint glow shimmered like stars turned inward, constellations hidden below instead of above. To sailors drifting at night, the thought was comforting. Even in the deepest, darkest waters, family and ancestors remained present, guiding unseen. The lanternfish's light was weak, but it endured, a symbol of resilience, of memory that never died. Myth said they swam alongside boats unseen, keeping travelers safe, their glow shining just enough to ward off monsters. For seafarers, this belief transformed the abyss from emptiness into presence. The deep was not void, but home to light. Every journey was watched over. Every wave carried with it the warmth of those who came before. 100th myth, stars as sailors' souls, many cultures. In many cultures, the stars themselves were believed to be souls of fallen sailors. Each point of light was someone once lost to the sea, returned to the sky as guide. Norse men spoke of brave warriors glowing in constellations. Polynesians sang of ancestors becoming stars, teaching navigation through their patterns. For sailors, this belief erased loneliness. Above them, every glitter was a companion, someone who had sailed before, still watching. It meant that even if the sea claimed them, they too would rise into light, part of the eternal map for others. This myth softened fear of death, turning loss into immortality. Every voyage beneath the night sky became a reunion. The stars were not distant fires, but familiar faces, shining patiently, reminding sailors they never truly traveled alone. 101st, the ocean as dream universal. Across the world, one belief echoed. The ocean itself was dream. Endless, shifting, filled with both terror and wonder, it mirrored the mind in sleep. Sailors believed to fall asleep to the sound of waves was to drift into that greater ocean, carried wherever destiny chose. Some said each dream was a voyage across invisible waters, guided by spirits, stars, and memory. For weary travelers, this was more than poetry, it was survival. To accept the sea as dream was to surrender fear, to trust its currents, both waking and sleeping. And so, the final myth is not of gods or monsters, but of the ocean itself, eternal, unfathomable, patient. The sea is the first story and the last. To sleep in its rhythm is to enter its dream, safe, timeless, and endless. And now, traveler, we have drifted through 101 myths, carried across oceans of story, starlight, and memory. From the fires of creation to the shimmer of the auroras, from gods who tamed the waves to spirits who guarded the deep, we have sailed through the imaginations of cultures across the world. Each tale has been like a wave, rising, glimmering, then folding softly back into the sea. Some fierce, some gentle, some filled with wonder, yet all guiding us to the same place. To calm, to rest. To the reminder that the ocean, for all its mysteries, cradles us like a vast and endless dream. Tonight, you are safe within that dream. The myths will stand watch like stars above a quiet harbor. The sea will carry you, steady and sure. And as your breath falls into rhythm with the tide, you may let go. Let the ocean hold you. Let the stars guide you. The voyage is not ending. It is simply continuing now within your sleep.